Hello everyone, welcome to Legacies Academy. From the couple of days, India and the Canada relationship are in news, and some event that happened in Canada which is being linked to India, and because of this we have one thing that in news, that is five eye alliances. So in this particular video we will be talking about what is an issue that happened between India and Canada. Okay, so why is this particular news why is this particular issue is in news, and at the end of this video we will also try to understand two important strategic and very close allies, that is India and Canada. See, India and Canada have a very common history and they share a lot of common values. Like for example, India is also a democracy, even Canada is a democracy. India gives a lot of values to its human rights. Same case is with respect to Canada. So because of these reasons, countries like India and Canada have a lot of similarity, unlike country like India and China or India and North Korea. So because of this reason, nobody in the world expected that the relationship between such similar countries or the countries which share a common value would be strained, and that too to an extent where a diplomatic relationship, okay, India is ready to cut its diplomatic ties with Canada, and Canada has also cut the number of diplomats who are working in India. So on a analysis, it was found that Canada operates almost 3 times more diplomats in India than India operates it in Canada. So because of all these reasons, India is also putting pressure on Canada to reduce its number of diplomats that Canada is employing in India. So these are the relationship has been strained a lot in the couple of days in the past. So in this video we will analyze what happened between the relationship between India and Canada. So one important event that happened that gave rise to all these connecting events was the killing of a pro-Khalistani leader, a person called as Harmeet Singh Niggar. Okay, or Harmeet Singh Nijjar. So he was a Canadian citizen, okay, of Indian origin, very important, of Indian origin, who was shot dead recently in Canada. Okay, so and because of this issue, because of this event that happened in Canada on a Canadian citizen who is of an Indian origin, the Canadian Prime Minister gave out a statement telling that, so this killing has been linked to an espionage by the Indian agents in Canada. So because of this reason, one grouping, that is 5I grouping as it is called as, the world's leading countries formed their intelligence network or intelligence framework, which is called as 5I network, EYEIE, 5I network, and this 5I network should take the responsibility of investigation, and all these countries, okay, should come together to face or to counter the perpetrators of this particular event. This is what the Canadian Prime Minister actually demanded. So let's look at what are the 5 countries as a part of 5I. It starts from United States of America, USA, UK, Australia, then we have New Zealand, and finally we have Canada. So these are the 5 leading countries. These are the 5 leading countries which are a part of a grouping called as 5I grouping. So what is this 5I grouping? So this 5I grouping is an intelligence gathering and an intelligence information processing group, which it doesn't involve only the human intelligence, it also includes the digital intelligence and also digital surveillance. So this is an intelligence grouping that they have. For example, if USA finds out any intelligence with respect to Australia, okay, or anything that's happening against Australia, then USA intimates Australia, and USA runs a lot of wide range of espionage and the spy network in the entire world, okay, including the digital interference and the digital analysis that we're talking about. USA is leading in all this technology. So this is the reason why post Second World War, that is after 1945, a grouping was formed. If you look at these countries, these 5 countries, you might start thinking, why don't we have Spain here? Why don't we have France here? Why don't we have Russia here? And why don't we have China here? Even these are the countries which are considered to be the most developed countries in the world. Okay, so why are these countries isolated from 5I grouping? One thing that is important to analyze and to know is that the 5I grouping only involves those countries which have the majority English speakers. So English is a language, that is, this is a intelligence gathering group based on a common language. So if you look at all these countries, English is considered to be the primary language in all these countries. USA, UK, Australia, New Zealand, Canada. If you look at these, okay. So this is something called as 5I countries, and the Canadian Prime Minister urged these 5I countries to intervene and calculate some and do some investigation and to come out with a report, and the person, any country for that matter, which has done something wrong, should be punished. That was the strong, hard statement given out by the Canadian Prime Minister. Okay, so with this introduction, let's analyze what is 5I alliance. I've told you already. It's a alliance of 5 countries: Canada, Australia, New Zealand, including UK plus USA. See, a very important prelim specific question. UPSC can just give you a statement: which of the following countries are a part of the 5I countries? Okay, that can be one. Second one, 5I countries is a grouping which talks about tax evasions. B, border disputes. C, it's a grouping by the countries of the African Union. D would be none of the above. Okay, so such easy questions can also be asked from this particular topic. Okay, so because Canada and India is in news, make sure to go through the physical and the political map of Canada and look for important lakes, rivers, mountains, and also the bordering states or bordering countries with respect to Canada. Okay, so this is something that should be done. Now, why was the 5I alliance actually formed? What was the need for such an alliance? What was the need for such an alliance, that is 5I alliance? If you look at this alliance was actually formed in the year 1943. For the first time, this alliance was formed in the year 1943, and by 1956, when Canada joined this alliance in the year 1956, this came to be called as 5I alliance. So now the question to be answered: why was it created in the year 1943? Like, what happened? If you look at the world history, you would know that this is a time period in the world history where there's a world war happening, and world war started in the year 1939 and went till 1945. So started with the dispute between Serbia and the Austria, okay, where and then it included Germany in it. Then we had Russia entering, then we had US entering, and finally in the year 1945, the Second World War comes to an end, when USA dropped 2 nuclear bombs on 2 important islands of Japan, that is Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So during this event between 1939 to 1945, in the year 1943, the partners, that is USA and UK, wanted to come out with an intelligence network. That's when they signed an agreement in the year 1943 called as BRUSA, B-R-U-S-A. BR stands for Britain here and for USA. This was an agreement that was signed in the year 1943 to exchange intelligence so that they will be at their advantageous position in winning the Second World War. So after the Second World War, 1945, we're talking about, the Britain Prime Minister Winston Churchill gives out a very important statement, and he lauds the contribution of the BRUSA and the network in intelligence sharing network between the partners for their success. So this BRUSA in the year 1943, which was formed, came to be called as UK-USA, that is UK-USA agreement. Post the Second World War, that is 1947-1948, this came to be called as UK-USA. Further, Canada joined it in the year 1949. New Zealand and Australia also joined it in the year 1956. So by 1956, the 5I grouping was complete. It was very much complete, and this is the same structure of the 5I that we have even today in the year 2023. So from 1956 to 2023, the membership structure and the function of the 5I group remains exactly constant. Okay. Now, how does the 5I alliance work? Okay, next thing to be answered, how does this 5I alliance actually work? If you look at this, balancing the rise of China is the priority for the 5I network as of now. Okay, see, China is an emerging power in Asia. So balancing this China is one of an important motive for the US and also the other Western allies, because China is not a democracy. China is an authoritarian regime. It's an autocracy for that matter. And the Western countries cannot trust China, that too after the COVID-19, which is also called as Wuhan virus. So the Western countries and the corporates are not able to trust China on this. So because of all these reasons and the Chinese aggression in the South China Sea and the Chinese aggression with respect to the predatory economics and the Chinese aggression in very important world order, that is OBOR, One Belt One Road Initiative, which is also called as BRI. So the West is not tolerant with respect to the Chinese aggression in these areas. So the West wanted to check China, and one of the important mechanisms for the West to check the Chinese dominance is the 5I alliance. Along with this, the US also has something called as Quad, QUAD, which is a partnership of 4 important countries starting from India, Japan, USA, and Australia. These are the 4 important countries which are a part of Quad. So along with Quad, the 5I will also work in countering the balance of China in the world geopolitical order. Okay, so next question to be answered. How is it linked to India-Canada issue? See, I've told you already, the Canadian Prime Minister has called upon the 5I network and all these 4 other countries to come together and conduct an investigation which is very fair and free, so that the perpetrators of this particular action will be prosecuted and they should be brought down under the ambit of law. Okay, because both the countries, India and Canada, follow something called as rule of law. Now, India-Canada bilateral relationship. See, I told you that the bilateral relationship because of this issue has been strained. So if it has been strained, what is the kind of bilateral relationship that India enjoys with Canada? If you look at this, we established the bilateral relationship with Canada in the year 1947, that is soon after our independence. We did not find any delay in it. So soon after our independence, we established the bilateral and the diplomatic relationships with Canada. And as I've told you, the relationship between India and Canada are very strong because they share common values of democracy, human rights, and also rule of law. Okay, so bilateral trade between India and Canada is amounted to be $6 billion every year, $6 billion every year. Okay, and Indian students in Canada, which forms the major diaspora in connecting people to people contact. Okay, so the Indian students comprise of approximately 40% of the international students in Canada, which means if you have let's say 100 international students in Canada, out of that 40 international students are from India, which means Canada has a lot of Indian aspirational youth and also the Indian demographic dividend who are working in Canada. ISRO and Canadian Space Agency, okay, in the field of science and technology. See, we talked about the trade and commerce. We also talked about the people-to-people contact. So now we'll have to talk about the science and technology. That is, Canadian Space Agency and the ISRO have signed an MOU, okay, in the field of exploration and utilization of outer space. With respect to the outer space, India is having a very important treaty with Canada. Antrix, a commercial arm of ISRO, has launched several nanosatellites from Canada. So, which means, after studying all this, we can come to a conclusion that India and Canada have enjoyed in the past a very strong bilateral and a strategic partnership, which is almost at the verge of getting strained because of a killing of a pro-Khalistani militant called as Hardeep Singh Gujjar, okay, or Niger in Canada. So that's it for today's video. If you have liked the video, hit the like button, press the bell icon to get all the latest updates from the Legacy AIS Academy YouTube channel. Have a nice day. Thank you.